I still need a second. Shannon seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, we'll have roll call. Shannon?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Motion carries. Number 4, consent agenda. Recommendation to approve the consent agenda as presented. I need a motion on that.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Jamie makes a motion to approve. Gary seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, Shannon,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Motion carries. Number 5, resolution 2020-60, CARE Act expenditures.
This is the final request to purchase the remaining items of our CARES Act. You'll see on the bill, I believe I have gotten us to within 5 pennies of everything they gave us. So, including the money from the county. So, by the end of this week, we'll have it all paid for. Some of the things are still on order, like some radios, the door for the garage. The frame is so bad that we needed a new frame and door so that they could put the P5 on there. So those are still pending because of shortages, but I have all that documentation for that. So we will be done with our CARES Act funding as of tomorrow when we send out those checks.
All right. Recommendation to approve resolution number 2020-60, a resolution approving of eligible CARES Act expenditures. I need a motion on that.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Jamie makes a motion to approve. How about a second?
I'll second that.
Shannon seconds it. Any discussion on it? Otherwise, Shannon,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Motion carries. Number 6, boom truck use agreement, City of Richmond.
Okay, so the city of Richmond has been using a non-OSHA approved equipment to put their decorations up and to do some of their light work. And so they have asked to borrow it once in a while, and what we've done is we've gone over there and a staff person has been there to drive it. And so it'd be better if they just did it themselves, and so we reviewed that, one, they can put it on their insurance for when they have it. Their employees are licensed to do it, and it's their responsibility to make sure that. And then they don't think they need 100 hours in the course of the next year and a half, and they'd like to renew this every January. So that's why you have a new version that says November of 2020 to December 2021. So then, and then the following year, they paid for the drafting of this agreement. And both our city attorney and their city attorney and the league wanted it in an agreement. And that way they can put their, stop using a fixer bucket thing to put up their people.
Okay. Recommendation to approve entering into an agreement with the City of Richmond for use of the boom truck and authorize the mayor and city administrator to execute the document when use dates are determined. I need a motion on that.
I'll make that motion.
Doug makes a motion. How about
I'll second.
Jamie seconds it? Any discussion? Go ahead, Doug.
Rick, so they paid for this, to draft this.
Yep.
So going forward, is it just perpetual that there's gonna be no charge to that, to them in the future years?
Well, we'll see how this first year goes, and then so this one will end next year. So
Or
then
will it come back every year?
yeah, yep.
Okay,
So this first one was to get it drafted
Yep.
and then set. Obviously, they'll pay for the gas and they will insure it under their hours.
Okay.
Yep.
that's all I have.
Anybody else? Otherwise, Shannon,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Motion carries. Number 7, city engineer report, Brian Lynch.
Mr. Mayor,
Just an update on the projects under 158. Set the hearing, move to the next meeting, November 24th. Number of reasons, but we're looking at having that at City Hall. And we're working with residents, we're trying to get word out to them if they have questions, try and contact ahead of time. We'll try and do our best, obviously, when we have
Wait, Gary can hear you.
on past assessments hearings, we've had a lot of people in here, obviously we can't have that, so we'll work to have a few other things just to be able to process people that come through. We'll probably do a quicker presentation to the council, and then if people have questions, then we can answer those individually.
Brian, you said it's gonna be here at City Hall?
Yeah.
Oh, that's,
Because if the school were to close on a moment's notice due to that COVID, all rentals are done, so we wouldn't be able to do it there. And luckily, we didn't have that happen this night, but we could definitely see that happening on the 24th. So everyone who's on that project got a letter. I set up a Zoom, GoToMeeting already, gave them in the letter the link on how they could come in. Ask them that if they're gonna do it that way, they have to identify themselves, either through the computer or if they're on the phone, they have to identify themselves, and then we'll take them in order if they have something to say. It'll be a little slower, but I'm also gonna have a staff person here, in case they wanna be in person. And you have too many people in here, we'll ask them to sit in their car and staff will contact them or go out and get them and kind of rotate, so we'll keep the room safe. But everyone will have an opportunity somehow to be present.
Okay. I think last question.
How many people can you have in this room?
We can have 14 or 15, counting all of us. So I might have all the other staff up here remotely. And so it'll be Andy, it'll be the 5 of you, Brian and I, or if some of you wanted to attend to give space to public, that'll be an option too. So as it gets closer, I ask people to notify me so that whatever they're gonna do, call me and let me know they are going to come, so I can kind of have a running total number. And most people have called and asked, when can I pay the whole thing and not have any interest? So that's a good sign.
Yeah. 2020, do what we gotta do.
That's right.
I believe the speed sign is off. I don't know if they have the, I haven't been through to see if it's working or not yet. I don't know if it needs to come down still.
Last time I went, it was about,
Okay, I think they were probably waiting for the hookup to itself.
it was last Thursday, I thought.
Hopefully soon we'll get that up and running and show some speed coming down the hill. And that alone will hopefully help slow some people down.
At least it'll tell you when they're gonna be, when they're speeding through there for average amount of time.
Yeah, it absolutely, it collects the aggregate data to tell you basically how fast someone was going, what time of day it was, so that way the PD can take that information and better monitor, know when some of the,
Targeted enforcement.
yes. Water treatment plant, we have it out for bid right now. It's come in November 19th. We've gotten very good feedback from contractors with a lot of interest. So, hoping for good prices. So the next meeting, we should, as long as all goes well here, we should have, bids. So good. I'm excited to see where they come in.
And
Wells 8 and 9, we met out there last week, power line contractor, we're gonna get that put up. They're thinking Monday, starting to put that up, week and a half, and the power will be in place. Then they can start hooking up some of the control pumps. I'm hoping by mid-December, we're starting to test valves. They have to do flushing jets, testing on the line, because we need the wells pumps in there in order to flush that volume of water out of the pipe. So I'm hoping that by mid-December, maybe we're starting to try to get it hooked up to the roof. We'll see how things progress on it. making good progress there. The sanitary lift station water main project, looking, just kind of wrapping up the design, looking at the easements, looking like we might kind of change our route around how it works just because of some bedrock issues. So just trying to do our due diligence ahead of time, trying to put some of those surprises in the the wastewater pretreatment, just wrapping up that conceptual design. As questions come from city staff regarding the agreement with Brewery, helping on that. And then Blueberry Heights 4, all the utilities are in, the road is up to grade, and we're actually putting some gravel down today. They, I think, are going to finish tomorrow, depending on how much snow we get. So really, they're just putting the gravel down as a way to kind of seal the road up. They're not doing any testing on it, no curve, anything like that, no spray. And it's just a good way to keep things moving and have it. It's really not a bad thing. It lets that gravel sit over winter to a free thaw. And it tends to work out that spot. So, yeah, so they're probably one more day and it's clean up. So we can pretty much be shut down. Construction in general is essentially done now. That nice little reprieve. Only we're going to get that again. So that's all I have, unless there's questions.
Thank you very much, Brian. And then we go on to number 8, city administrator report.
All right, Councilmember Tyson, if you want to jump in here at any time, I'm going to just kind of reread what I have in my memo, unless there's anything more you want to add. We had a really good discussion based on the concerns that were raised at the budget meeting. And we went through some of the position descriptions, and some of the things we talked about was reviewing those at reviews with our staff, making sure they're accurate. And then there are several cities that have a variety of level of personnel committees that are made up of council members. The city of Red Wing has a municipal servant board, which I think is a little bit outside of what we would need, where everything is done. The handbook is reviewed, all of the, reviews are done, any disciplinary action is done by that, is run through that board and determined by that board. So there's a variety of options, and I didn't know how much to put in here because I don't know where we wanted to go. But I wanted to bring it to you, and I think Councilmember Tyson and I had talked about it, and it seems like there needs to be some level, but I don't know where that is. So do you have any more to add?
Well, you're right, Bridget, and you and I had talked briefly about some of the job descriptions and what the duties are, and of course we noticed that in some of those they're not up to date, and so that would certainly be something that board or committee could work on with the various department heads to bring job descriptions up to date to make sure that they're accurate, and then also if there are any type of employee issues, that group could also be involved so that you have different viewpoints and different thoughts, and take some of that weight off of just the city administrator's back. And I don't know, I just think it would be a good thing to have within our city function.
Right, I just don't know where that happy level is. What, is it an appointment maybe during the annual appointment? So then there'd be 2 people that are the go-to and they're the ones that participate, or is it?
Kind of like the liaison.
Kind of like the liaison, start with that model and see how that goes. So it doesn't have, no decision has to be made tonight, but we wanted to bring it to you to have you kind of think about it. I think the start of the new year would be a good time, whatever is decided. So if you want more information on what models look like, I can get some more information. It's just, there's so many out there, and I kind of bogged down on first doing, what level are you all?
I don't want to hold hands to that too much. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, obviously, we're very loose right now, so it's coming together a little bit. We need to come together a little bit. But I don't want to get to the point where we're actually like holding hands, so, or babysitting, that kind of concept.
Right.
I want them to let them know that we trust them and we trust everyone's doing their job.
Right.
But to get to the point where job descriptions are all up to date, everything is taken care of, we're probably gonna have a little extra upfront work before we get to that point.
Right.
So,
Right, and that's the model that, so Elk River has 2 people appointed as kind of the liaison, and so when it's presented, it's like, do you see anything about these that you're concerned about as the liaisons before it comes to council for full vote, you know? And so it's a little looser, but it still is a sounding board for city administrator to have the 2 go-to people to say, this is where we're at, what are your thoughts? Or this might be my issue, and here's where I'm thinking, what are your thoughts?
mm,
So those are the different options, and nothing has to be decided tonight, but I would like you all to think about where that level is of comfort.
Go ahead, Doug.
Yeah, I think if we, it sounds like the job descriptions are a big issue, that they're not up to date. And I agree with Shannon, I don't think we want to be micromanaging our staff. And so I think if we can get these job descriptions up to par, well, then it falls into the supervisor or the director and go through the chain of command, it goes to you, and if there's still issues, then it comes back to us. But I don't think we as a council should sit there, you know, holding hands, and, you know, that's why we hire the people we got and why they're our managers, our directors, because that's their job, to make sure that people are doing the job. If they're not, then it comes back to us.
Right.
That's the way I feel.
I agree.
Other than the
Yeah.
job descriptions.
Yeah, we hire people to do their jobs, and I think they do a really good job of that. And they can go to Bridget, or Bridget oversees them, either way around. And then it comes to us. And I still don't mind the liaison.
Well, I think it would be
or a couple
more of a
people that
liaison thing where-
oversee, like, the job descriptions and different things like that.
yeah, it wouldn't be something that would be very, very strict. It would be more of a liaison thing.
Right.
Get everything set in the beginning, everything, coming together, training or whatever needs to be set, and then it falls together, and then we kind of take our hands out of it and let it flow. And then if we need to come back into it, we would, I would think.
Something like that.
It'd be
Nice to see something.
Well, I just like,
Yes,
It'd be nice to see some type of model of that.
yes, I'll see. I think that's the Elk River model that is kind of describing, so I'll get more information from her on how exactly she communicates what they've done with job descriptions, because, we have one more year and then we have to do pay equity again, so it'd be nice to make sure those are accurate.
Right.
Actually, in December of next year, yeah, that's when pay equity ends, so using next year to make sure we're on target.
I don't know, as far as the,
For AHAC, I think I'm good,
I'm good. Are you Gary?
Well, it seems like quite often things come up, and when people are not fully informed, it's really tough to make a good decision. We can't discuss, obviously, names, and would never do that, but where this all got started, I was approached by several different people within the community about the perceived lack of performance in job duties by an individual. And So I requested a meeting with Bridget and the manager or supervisor of that department. And we had a good meeting, and we were very honest and straightforward with what we were hearing and sorted out what we believed was factual and what was not. And through that discussion, I guess we came up with the idea of some type of a, call it a committee, as Bridget had explained earlier, that could work on getting these job descriptions up to date so that they could ultimately be presented to the council for final approval. And also, if issues like I experienced come up again, we would have a way of bringing some folks together that could have a discussion, sort through it, hopefully resolve it. And if not, well, then that committee or Bridget, I guess, could bring it to the council for further discussion and to determine what action, if any, is necessary. So that's how this all got started. I don't believe this is hand-holding of anyone, because in this situation that I experienced, it wasn't just the individual employee, it was also the supervisor or manager, where there was a perception of a lack of management and oversight. So it can get really complex very quickly. And, you know, when we have these things happen, I would prefer if there's a process that we have established that we could go through and then ultimately bring it to the council versus just going from residents to a council member to the council. I just don't think that that's necessary to burden the council with the details, especially when they haven't been sorted out, discussed, and conclusions have been made. So, like I said, sometimes there's a hell of a lot more to things than there appear on the surface, and that's why we're having this discussion.
Right, and that's the kind of stuff that I thought the liaison, as opposed to a full committee, that the liaisons would be the one that if something was conveyed to any of you,
They would come together.
you would come to me with it, and then I would bring it to the two liaisons if I felt it needed to go to the two liaisons and up.
Yes, I would be fine with that too. I guess I just didn't know what we were calling the group of individuals or the, yes, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, so that, I think at this point, I'm not asking you to approve anything, but if that's the route we're gonna go, then for the January appointment, we can add the liaison, employee personnel or personnel liaisons too. And between now and then, I can kind of draft up
Yeah.
the roles of those liaisons, so we know what they are. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes sense to me.
All right. Next is the Quarry Trail Board discussion. So you'll see in your packet that we have an invoice to Quarry. There are some upfront costs that we're hoping that need to be done in the permitting process, and we're hoping the legislature will pass the LCCMR next year that it didn't pass this year. So that, everything that was on their list is what they're passing, because we were $1.2 million to help with that final. But there was a really good discussion at the Quarry Trail Board about how much money is spent on legal and engineering, and so over the past 5 years, that we found, I got from the treasurer how much was spent for everything. A lot of that heavy number in 16, 17, and 18 dealt with buying the railroad corridor. There were some right-of-way issues, so there were a lot of agreements, a lot of talking with the railroad, which can always cause spikes in price when you have to deal with the railroad. But a lot of the engineering, so the engineering there had to do with right of way. Most of engineering that they do, they show us a bill, but it's rolled into the project, so it's part of the project design. So when we put out the bid, we pay on that point. That's what we pay the engineer. So just, I thought it was a really good discussion. I don't know about you, Gary, how you thought about that discussion at Quarry Trail. It was a good one.
Well, yeah, and I'm the one that brought it up and asked Bridget if she could coordinate with Marty in Rockville and put these numbers together, because as every one of you know, attorney fees and engineering fees can get completely out of hand because they're billable hours. And I've had a concern for some time about the Rocori Trail Board and the Rocori Trail and the amount of money that we've got from the state, the federal government, and then of course from the three cities. And what have we paid to date for legal and engineering? And of those dollars, what actually has been paid, let's say by the state or the federal government versus our residents? And in reality, it all comes from our residents. But I don't remember if it was the legal, Bridget, or the engineering. It seems to me it was the legal that actually comes out of each individual city and does not come out of a grant money or trail funding. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yes. And so as we can see, there's a fair number of dollars there, and I just wanted it to become visible and something that our group maybe periodically looks at, and so we can try to keep a handle on it, because otherwise, as you well know, it can get out of hand. You know, if we look at our bills for this month, just the addition that we were emailed, you know, we have over $13,000 just for 1 month in legal fees. And I think it's something even us in the council, we should start to keep track of, and we should be more intimately aware of what is our legal cost to date, what is our engineering cost to date. These are billable hours, and you know, it's pretty easy to throw a number out there, and we end up paying a lot of residents' money for these services. So anyway, that's kind of how it got going.
And then we got drinking because we got the canvassing results already. So with that, it's good.
All right, anybody got questions for Bridget? Otherwise, we'll move on to number 9, list of bills and additions. Recommendation to review and accept payment of the accounts payable according to the list and supplemental list presented by city staff. I need a motion on that.
I'll make that motion.
Doug makes a motion, how about a second?
I'll second.
Jamie seconds it. Any discussion on this? Otherwise, Shannon?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Motion carried. Number 10, general questions and comments from city council. Gary?
Nothing for me.
Jamie?
Nothing from me.
Doug?
Nothing.
Shannon?
Nothing this evening, thank you.
And nothing from me. Number 11, motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Jamie makes the motion, how about a second?
I'll second that.
Shannon seconds it. All those in favor say, well.
Yes.
Shannon?
Everyone say yes. Yes.
Yes. Doug?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Motion carries. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.